To Friday's ESPN FC Live. I so want to call it Celebrity Squares. Mark Donaldson, Janusz, Michallik, Shaka Hislop, Miguel, Echegaray. We've got the brains with us. A degree in mechanical engineering from Howard University, and an ex-intern at NASA. That's just Janusz Michallik. What about you?
I was gonna say you can stop at that. Don't go any further.
We have the brains. Who wants to be the brawn? LME or Janusz? That's all that's left for us today. LME's putting his hand up, but he's pointing at Janusz. We're going to have a bit of fun today when Janusz switches off his mobile phone, because we don't want a call from his wife halfway through to say what's going on.
Emails I'm getting from you.
Well, yeah, there's a silence. See, there's a thing that's silent. You can silence them off for the next half hour. Welcome. We're going to have a bit of fun over the next half hour. We're going to be talking Messi and Suarez, and maybe joined by their pal, someone else who completed a 3-year period at Barcelona between 2014 and 2017, Luis Suarez. We'll be talking about transfer swaps as well, and ask the panel. This could be anything. We have some questions all related to football. That's all still to come. But we're going to start with LME, because when you've got someone here who is an author, who's written a book about Lionel Messi that's out soon, and may have the inside track on what's going to happen when Neymar's contract with Al Hilal expires. Can we see the MSN trio, which was at Barca for 3 years, more than a decade ago, re-up themselves, come back and form again in Miami coming the summertime? LME, what can you tell us regarding this?
Well, Mark Donaldson, first of all, let me thank you so much for being my agent, promoting my book every now and again. I really appreciate it. Venmo coming your way anytime soon. All right, let me be as concise as I can with this situation, because it is tricky and it does need context for those of us, for those that are watching our show. MLS has salary restrictions and all of that good stuff. So let's play the could he, would he? Would Neymar Jr. join Inter Miami? Could he do it? As you mentioned, Neymar Jr. ends his contract with Al Hilal unless there's negotiations this summer, of course. He has talked about Neymar Jr., about how much he wants to play again with Lucho Suarez and Lionel Messi when they were MSN in Barcelona. He loves MLS. He loves America. He loves Miami. Just last October, he bought a $26 million home in Bal Harbour, which is north of North Beach in Miami. So, there's all of that good stuff. He loves the city. He loves the team. He loves it all. Here's the issue, and it's massive, of course, as Javier Mascherano said it a few days ago. It's almost impossible for this to happen just because of the salary restrictions, even though the managing owner, Jorge Mas, also wants it to happen, and the club itself has a good, almost unlimited budget. But the issue here is that there are salary restrictions within MLS. One of them specifically is, of course, that you need to have a certain amount of players, designated players, that can go beyond the salary restrictions. Inter Miami have 2 of them, Lionel Messi and Sergio Busquets. They don't have 3. Leo Campana, who's not a designated player, he's already left for the Revolution. Diego Gomez, who's an under-22 player, he's gone to Brighton. Matias Rojas, he's gone to River Plate. So there is some space, but the issue is going to be, can you attract Neymar, who makes about $107 million a year in his annual salary with Al Hilal, who, by the way, has only played 7 matches with them due to injury? Can you persuade him to come and say, can you play for a little bit less of money, which is what Lucho Suarez is doing? So all of these issues are intertwined within each other. It's not impossible, but it's incredibly, incredibly difficult. Should he do it? That's another question.
All right, Shaka Hislop, let's rewind the clock back 10 years. Barcelona was appointment viewing. They won the Champions League in 2014-2015. Lionel Messi, Neymar were joint top scorers with 10. Luis Suarez had 7 goals. But here's the caveat. Messi was 27. So was Suarez at the start of that season. And Neymar was 22. Are they appointment viewing now at the ages of 32, 37, and 37 as we speak? 33 next month, Neymar, 38 in June, Messi, and 38 in 2 weeks for Luis Suarez? Or is this just becoming silly and becoming like the Harlem Globetrotters?
Can it be both? To your question, Mark, it's appointment viewing in Major League Soccer, who you don't have the exposure to those types of talents at any stage. And while we are talking an aging trio, at their best, they were three of the best to have ever played the game. That's attractive. That's attractive commercially from a fan perspective. You saw the furor that Lionel Messi continues to command, even though, and yes, Lionel Messi continues to be almost superhuman, but he's a lesser version of himself at his absolute best. Now, if that were any kind of indication, then absolutely yes. I wouldn't mind seeing all three of them on the park together in person and live, but knowing full well that they aren't the players that they once were. The bigger question is, and you've seen, while Lionel Messi continues to be this incredible talent, even at his age, Luis Suarez isn't the player that he once was. Injuries, he's slowed down considerably, and while yes, he's still a valuable asset to Inter Miami, you have same questions about Neymar. You want to see him in person, you want to see him in the flesh, even though you understand and accept that this is a lesser version of himself. But you've seen nothing of him just about nothing of him since his ACL injury and soon after moving to Saudi Arabia. So what are you getting? While you may be there, you'll queue up, you'll pay over the prices for a ticket. You're not. There's no guarantee as to what you're seeing from his perspective. So commercially, it makes sense, but in all honesty, other than the kind of initial impact of I was there, I saw all three of them in person. I'm not sure what the value truly is.
I like the fact you've taken both sides of the story, because there are two sides to the story here. The concern would be if you've seen them once, then like the Harlem Globetrotters, is that enough? However, we had our very own version back in 1977 of the footballing equivalent of the Harlem Globetrotters, which was the New York Cosmos. Now, Pelé was the same age. He was 37 back then. Franz Beckenbauer was 32 and Carlos Alberto was 33. Here's the caveat, Janusz. They won the championship in 1977 and 1978. If it was Messi arriving, or if it was Luis Suarez arriving, who are nearer 40 than 30, then I don't know, you could look at Inter Miami and say, how much is that actually going to help them at their age from winning the title? But Neymar's still in his early 30s here. So is his addition, if they're able to do it into Miami, going to help them finally win the MLS Cup?
Well, as the boy said, if he's healthy, absolutely. Let's not forget, I mean, they were the best team during the regular season, right? I mean, they lost out to Columbus Crew, my Columbus Crew, who were actually the defending champions. So no shame in that. That could have happened because Columbus Crew is a very good team. In terms of injuries, that's the only question I have. Otherwise, it's a no-brainer for Major League Soccer. Shaka is spot on. I mean, Major League Soccer needs as much exposure as they can possibly get. No questions about that. The injuries, I mean, the whole of 2024, he played 42 minutes. That's 2 matches. That's questionable. His skills aren't questionable. If he's healthy, there's no way that they're going to pay Al Hilal, paid him, by the way, for those 42 minutes, 100 million euros. That's not going to happen again. I think he sees what's coming his way. Reunion with Leo Messi and Suarez is tempting. I can assure that. It's probably not going to be for the money, and he's going to get his money. And LME, you mentioned that it's going to be difficult for Major League Soccer because of the rules. I remember when David Beckham came into the league, there was a Beckham rule, right? David Beckham is at Inter Miami, and he's going to create another rule if it fits, the narrative of Major League Soccer. So I have zero issues with that because somehow I think it's going to happen. But I think all the other points are valid. This is not going to be the same trio that we saw at Barcelona. But if it even comes close to that, I remember Neymar was wonderful with Messi. He wasn't scoring maybe as many goals, but he certainly created so many goals for Leo Messi, gave him many assists. And as I've said, in this league, I think this would be big.
Can I just add here, Mark?
Yeah, sure.
I'm also old enough to remember that in the earliest days of Major League Soccer, the messaging was that they weren't going to repeat the mistakes of the NASL. So for you to mention Cosmos in the late 70s, I think carries some resonance here in the story that we're trying to tell. And while maybe the counter argument could be that MLS has now matured to the point where they can take some of these bigger money gambles, then fine. I guess they've earned that right to do that in a manageable way. I'm also, LME is keen to point out that MLS has salary restrictions. And now, I guess I need to be blessed with a mechanical engineering degree and a summer internship in NASA, like Janusz, to try to understand how those salary restrictions affect or don't. Inter Miami, who have Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba. How does that work in Miami, but still not work or whatever it is for a Kansas City or Columbus or Cincinnati? It's for me, looking at it from the outside, it's just far too confusing.
LME, I want to give you the final word on this before we move on. If they're able to get this done, okay, it would be a wonderful signing for MLS. If you were getting the Neymar of his 20s and he was back fit and everything like that. However, there's a lot of red flags about this. His age, his lack of game time, whether or not he'll ever recover fully from the injuries that he's had. Do you think it would make more sense to spend all that money to try and get Neymar, to make Messi and Suarez happy, or to spend the same amount of money, whatever that money is, and it's probably quite a lot, to get pretty much a really good player who's young and can maybe be the face of the franchise for the next decade?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking that, because that's really the important part here to wrap this up. In my answer, I'll try and answer as well what the boys were talking about, who bring up some very, very good points, especially the marketing appeal of Neymar. And that's why I said it's very difficult, but not impossible. To answer very quickly Shaka's question about the salary restrictions, with Inter Miami, MLS have like a few options. You can either have 3 designated players and 2 under 22 initiative players, or you can have 2 designated players and more under 22 players. And that's what Inter Miami do. They only have 2, Sergio Busquets and Lionel Messi. As I mentioned, Lucho Suárez actually is not a designated player. He actually said, it's okay, you can pay me less. So, there's some issues there in terms of under 22 players. So there's that situation. In terms of your question, Neymar going to Inter Miami, in my opinion, if Inter Miami want to win MLS Cup, they shouldn't bring him, because there's way more of a need in other areas. They just brought in, coming into Lasco Segovia, a very good Venezuelan player, young player coming from Casa Pia, which is Ruben Amorim's first club as a manager. He's coming in. They're solidifying that midfield. They've got Fede Redondo as well. They're going to bring in. They need to look at the model of the previous winners of MLS Cup. LA Galaxy is a great example. It wasn't just about Ricky Puig. It's such a shame that he couldn't make the final. It was about players that they got in from Latin America and beyond, and they had a very good, experienced center back. Columbus Crew, exactly the same thing in 2023. So in my opinion, you got to begin with the spine. You need a good center back. You need somebody that can lead you, because Inter Miami don't have that. They have Thomas Avilés, who's talented and young, but they don't have a voice at the back. I think that's their number one priority. Then after that, you can try and solidify. But if Inter Miami want to sell shirts, sell kit, get people to come from all over the globe and watch Messi and MSN, and go for it. But if you want to win MLS Cup, you need way more than just Neymar Jr.